Hello and welcome to the second episode of Vision, Culture, and Policy. My name is Sabal Khamis, and I'll be your host for this podcast series. In today's episode, we'll be exploring the world of visual arts, from paintings on canvases and murals on walls to art installations and sculptures. Beauty can be seen everywhere in Saudi, whether it was in an art gallery or roundabouts in major cities. But we want to go beyond just appreciating art. We want to understand more about the enablers, facilitators, and curators, the individuals who have such a deep appreciation for art that they strive to bring it to the forefront of every corner. Art is a beautiful and expressive medium that has the power to ignite imagination, evoke emotions, and leave a lasting impression on anyone who encounters it. Whether you are the artist creating the piece or the one perceiving it, art has the incredible ability to make you think, feel, and remember. Art has always served as a powerful tool for individuals to express their thoughts and ideas and stories. It acts as a platform to shed light on social issues, make political statements, declare love, and provide deep reflections on life's experiences. It is through art that we can communicate messages that go beyond language and connect with people on a profound level. Amidst the awe and admiration we feel towards art, there exists a hidden world bustling with visionaries. These individuals are art curators, gallery owners, exhibition organizers. They are the unsung architects of the art world. Their work extends far beyond a hammer and a nail and where the artwork is placed. In recent years, the vibrant art scene in Saudi Arabia has witnessed an extraordinary, flourishing wave of art galleries, foundations, nonprofit organizations, and cultural centers have emerged, creating a nurturing ecosystem for the visual arts industry. Their invaluable contributions go beyond words, as they actively support and empower artists, providing them with platforms to showcase their remarkable creations. But these platforms transcend the mere exhibition of art by offering immersive programs that propel artists on transformative journeys, expanding their horizons and igniting their creative passions with art residencies that brace their creative desires and facilitate profound artistic exchange across borders. Throughout the 1950s and 1960s, the visual arts sector in Saudi Arabia received support from governmental institutions and private organizations. However, as the demand for diverse art styles and emerging talents grew, the support system expanded significantly to better nurture and recognize creative potential. This expansion allowed for a more comprehensive assessment of artistic talents, propelling the art scene to new heights and the establishment of art galleries and nonprofit organizations and foundations. One remarkable testament to private initiatives is Athar Gallery. Founded in 2009 by Hamza Sayrafi and Mohammed Hafez in Jeddah, Saudi Arabia. This gallery has played a pivotal role in cultivating the contemporary art scene within the country, recognizing the value of experimentation and exploration of new ideas. Athar Gallery places great importance on artists' significant role in the creative process and profound impact that they have on societies. When it comes to fostering support for local artists and the art scene, the name MISC stands out. MISC Foundation is a nonprofit organization in Saudi Arabia, fosters learning and leadership among youth. MISC Art Institute is a part of the foundation that organizes MISC Art Week, a beautifully curated event that serves as a platform for exploration, creation, and engagement in the creative community. Over 6 days, MISC Art Week brings together diverse audiences with Saudi Arabia's artistic spirit through exhibitions, dialogues, and more. It also highlights artworks of previous MISC Art Grant recipients, allowing individuals to connect with the local arts sector. While under the Ministry of Culture falls a number of commissions, projects, and foundations, Visual Arts has a dedicated commission that cultivates the artistic aspirations of enthusiasts, practitioners, and professionals, fuels artistic passion, showcasing the championing diverse artworks locally and globally, while honoring Saudi Arabia's cultural heritage and shaping a visionary future. One of the foundations that are under the Ministry of Culture is the Dir'iyya bin Ali Foundation, that plays a huge role in nurturing creative expression and instilling an appreciation for culture and the arts and their transformative potential. The foundation aspires to be a catalyst for lifelong learning and serve Saudi Arabia's communities by offering opportunities to engage with the flourishing local art scene. Projects under the ministry include JAX. JAX is an industrial heritage site that is a haven for creative ambitions and exploration. It comprises of warehouses that artists and individuals can transform into their own creative space. The area is also home to several creative hubs, including the Ames, Riyadh Art, and Middle East headquarters. Managed by the Ministry of Culture, JAX is a thriving art district. But have you ever wondered where the name JAX comes from? Because it's not an abbreviation for anything related to art or the creative industry. Originally known as Dhaharat al-Oda, the area underwent a transformation in the 1970s and 1980s when it became occupied by warehouses for a construction company named JAX. Even after the company relocated its warehouses, the name JAX stuck. The Ministry of Culture seized this opportunity to transform JAX into a vibrant creative district, serving as a nurturing home for art and artists. We also have Riyadh Art, an outstanding initiative by the Royal Commission of Riyadh City, plays a significant role in the city's comprehensive development plans. This civic art program aims to transform public spaces and encourage community engagement through artistic expression and promote the growth of the cultural economy. There are many more art galleries, nonprofit organizations and foundations, government and private efforts that contribute to the visual arts industry in Saudi Arabia. But if I mention all of them, I might have to dedicate a whole season to list them. The art scene in Saudi Arabia is experiencing significant growth. In fact, I had to edit this episode several times to keep up with the rapid developments. Recently, the Ministry of Culture unveiled the first contemporary art museum in Saudi Arabia. And in the realm of education, in a collaborative effort between King Saud University and the Ministry of Culture, just a few weeks back, they inaugurated the university's College of Arts, marking a significant milestone in the educational and cultural landscape of the country. To delve further into these initiatives, we are honored to have the chance to speak with two renowned individuals who are highly acknowledgeable and respected within their areas of expertise. You might have seen her on glamorous magazine covers, and I'm sure you came across her Instagram page. Joining us today, the director of Noor Riyadh herself, Nof Al-Mnif. Nof, thank you for joining us today.
Thank you, Sabah, for having me.
So, Nof, everybody knows that you are the director of Noor Riyadh, the person who is in charge. Can you provide us an overview on Riyadh Art in general and specifically the programs and Noor Riyadh specifically?
Sure. So, as you said, Noor Riyadh is under the umbrella of Riyadh Art Project. Riyadh Art Project was launched back in 2019. The aim is to nurture Saudi Arabia's creative economy. And to act as a pillar in public art in accordance with Vision 2030, and to transform the city into a gallery without walls with public art. Under Riyadh Art Project, we have 10 programs with 2 annual events.
Amazing.
Which is Noor Riyadh Festival and a Toig Sculpture. And each program from the 10 programs has its own concept or vision. طبعاً, I don't want to go through the whole 10 programs.
Absolutely. No, I understand.
But inshallah, soon we're going to see public artworks being distributed in the city.
Okay.
And that's
amazing.
Under Riyadh Art Vision.
I know that Noor Riyadh has the initiative of beautifying the city of Riyadh. I don't know if you guys can do that. Riyadh is already very beautiful.
Exactly.
Okay, so Noor Riyadh is like the biggest light festival ever to exist in the world. Is that correct?
Yes.
Or is that an overstatement?
We have a Guinness World Record for that.
Wow.
It is the largest light and art festival in the world.
Wow.
Because of the amount of contemporary artworks that are there.
Okay.
Also, basically, when we saw the light art festivals in the world, it's different.
Okay.
So that's why it's the largest.
Nothing compares
yes.
to...
And Guinness World Records, the first edition we received 2, the second edition we received 6,
wow,
and the third edition we received 6 as well. So
you have to break the record next year. So
maybe.
What do the why 6? Why not 1?
So
I don't
basically,
get.
when the team from World Guinness Record came and saw the artworks,
Yeah.
they thought that this is, for example, spectacular.
Okay.
The largest pendant hung from the highest tower.
Okay. So
in
for each and
Riyadh.
every part of Nur Riyadh.
Exactly,
Okay.
exactly. And we have the main one, which is the largest light art festival
Okay.
in the
Okay.
world.
Okay. And that's you get that every year.
Yeah, we get
I really don't know
like
how
different
Guinness
awards
World
as well.
Records work.
Yeah. We get different awards as well. For
Okay.
example, there are awards of that depends on design and architecture,
Uh-huh.
but not under the Guinness World Record, like something different. But yeah, the most achieved ones are the
Guinness World
Guinness
Record.
World
Okay.
Record.
Amazing. So I know that you guys have a hub in Jax district. What does that do?
So when we started the hub, we started approximately 3 years ago. We did like a small hub in Riyadh front, and we did like workshops, panel talks, and it was like I go to introduce the Riyadh art program because the only thing that launched since 2019
Yeah.
is back in 2021, which is Noor Riyadh and Atwake Sculpture. We want to just educate people on what is public art and what is Riyadh art in general.
Amazing.
And the hub now, the Riyadh art space in Jax district is like a bigger version on what we did before.
Okay.
And we utilize it in public programs, workshops, daily activities. Also,
I've seen a couple of talks
where,
too.
Yes,
Yeah.
exactly. And that's where Noor Riyadh exhibition also is being held.
Yeah. Okay. That's amazing. I've been there. It's pretty impressive.
It is.
I'll be honest. So I have a question on who conceptualized the idea of a light festival and what's the primary objective of the program? Why light?
Why light? Light is a new medium and a different medium in art or in contemporary art in general. And the festival aims to nurture local talent and inspire youth to drive Saudi Arabia's creative economy, as mentioned. And why light and how it came all together. During the master plan and putting the programs all together, they wanted to make this event as an educational festival or educational event for people to understand what is public art or what is contemporary art in general.
Yeah.
So it's like an educational. I in my opinion, I see it educational because people didn't know about public art before. Didn't know
It's pretty new
more about
to the country.
light art before, and it's different.
Yeah, it is quite different. What elements are considered a part of a light show? So do like projectors and lasers, drones qualify as part of a light show? Or
Yes, absolutely. So if you can see the past three editions, you've seen the drone shows. You've seen the lasers between the two buildings of the iconic buildings in Riyadh City.
Mamlaka and
Faisaliya.
Faisaliya. Yeah. That was amazing.
And like every year, the artists like really show us creativity in their works. طبعا every artist has his own concept on how to show their artworks, on how whether it's lasers, whether it's projections, whether it's light bulbs, so it or neon lights. So each artist has his own direction of how to show his art piece.
That's amazing. You just mentioned 2021, which was the first edition of Noor Riyadh. So what were some of the most significant challenges as the first inaugural edition?
Wow. we had a lot of challenges.
I bet.
But yes, بس الحمد لله يعني زي ما يقولون تخطينا هذه التحديات
Yeah.
and we outcome these challenges
Yeah.
and it became really successful the first year. That's how we tripled the size the second year.
That's amazing.
Yes.
The size of artists or the artworks?
And the
okay.
artworks.
Okay.
And the locations.
Oh, okay.
So the first year we had 13 locations and 63 artworks, for example. The second year, 40 locations
Wow.
and 200 artworks.
Wow.
So, and the third year, we made it like more into hubs, like only 5 hubs
Yeah.
with تقريبا 120 artworks. So each year, يعني it's different. But for example, the first year, it was very challenging because it was during COVID.
Yeah.
So yeah,
I remember.
We had a lot
yeah.
of challenges in terms of the lockdown, in terms of securing artists, especially international artists,
yeah.
flying them in, the communication. So it was really difficult, but alhamdulillah,
Thank God.
it was really successful.
So it's specifically in Riyadh region.
Yes.
So nowhere like other than that.
So it is
in
in
the
Riyadh
borders.
region. We had the second year we had a desert location, for example,
Okay.
but within
Still
Riyadh,
the
still
realm
in
of-
Riyadh.
okay.
Yes.
I remember being a part of the team that hosted Bob Wilson's creation at the Palace of Salwa. It was 2021, the first edition, which was quite inspirational, honestly. And like witnessing this, it was mesmerizing, seeing all the work and the lights on the palace. It was quite amazing. But I wanted to ask on, did Bob Wilson pick Salwa Palace, or do you guys pick the locations for the artists and they get to work with whatever they get?
Yeah, good question. So basically, because most of the artists do not know Riyadh, especially the international artists, and they have never been in Riyadh before. So we, as a team, we scout the locations.
Okay.
And we suggest a couple of locations. Other than the hubs, of course. And the curator and the artist work together on delivering a concept.
Okay.
So yes, we suggested the location, and and the curator felt that Bob Wilson
Would be perfect.
in that location.
Fair.
But the whole idea was Bob's idea, and for him to mix the building projections with sculptures as well.
It was amazing.
In the palace, it was really amazing. And the music, the whole thing, the whole concept behind it, it was...
And the color was just like, I don't know, it's just beautiful.
The blue color.
Yeah, it was beautiful.
sweet.
So could you walk us through the process of selecting local artists from Noor Riyadh, emphasizing on the opportunities provided to emerging artists in Riyadh region or like in Saudi in general?
So we always support local talent, of course, and we are always happy to bring international talents as well to Riyadh and know more about them, and them knowing more about us as well.
Yeah.
The curation of artists is part of the curators.
Okay.
The curators chooses the artists and see what fits, what artists can deliver or fits for the theme.
Okay, so
of each year.
The curator is provided with a roster of artists, of local artists.
Yes, they already have their connections, of course.
Okay.
Curators, they already they know a lot. They've done that before.
Okay.
They know
okay.
a lot of artists. They know what the art scene in Saudi as well.
Yeah.
So they suggest. And it's for us to give
to decide. Yeah. And so that like there are no open call or submissions of any kind.
So that's a good thing to mention.
Yeah.
So Riyadh Art Program as a whole, there are competitions with the other programs.
Okay.
There are open calls. For example, Twig is an open call.
Oh, okay.
Twig sculpture.
Okay.
And we receive from Twig sculpture like every year like more than 200, even more, 400 maybe participants. But each year they choose only 30.
Okay.
Noor Riyadh it depends on the curator and the curator who to choose as well.
Okay. So this year, 2023 was the third edition of Noor
Yes.
Riyadh. Is there a specific theme that happens every year, or is it like different each year?
No, it's different each year.
Okay.
For example, the first year our theme was We Are Gathered Under One Sky. The second year...
That's amazing because of COVID.
Because of
Oh,
COVID.
there you
exactly.
go. Okay.
The third year is قمر على رمال الصحراء.
Okay. So that's like a moon on... wait, I'm going to translate that real quick. Give me a second. قمرة على رمال الصحراء. So a moon on
because
a
I
desert.
Love it. It's very poetic in Arabic. So
It's sometimes you can't.
حفظتها في العربي.
Some things you can't say in English. Something you can't just translate. Okay, so
every year we have a different theme.
Okay.
On the festival and on the exhibition.
Okay. Okay. What are like some of the social impacts and objectives that you aim to accomplish from Noor Riyadh? And does it like benefit local community, like the society in general?
We target صراحة, especially through our public program.
Mm-hmm.
There is a wide reception from the public, both regionally and internationally. Also, the event resonated with people of all ages. And there is a huge appeal and excitement always attached to the next edition. يعني, every year we have different events or different activities and activations. Also with the activities that we do, for example, the stargazing or the photography activities or the kids and family activities. فيعني it's different from year to year.
Well, this question is, I experienced some kind of, I don't want to say difficulty, but like a friend of mine had a friend visiting Saudi at the time. And she was asking me about Noor Riyadh, and she was, till when does it stay? So I think it was by the end of it, I told her she has 2 days left or something. And it was very...
This was which edition?
The third one.
The third one, okay.
And it was, we don't have time to go and blah, blah, blah. I'm like, I know, but this is why I'm asking, given the substantial financial investment in the project, why is the event limited to 14 days? Did you consider, do you guys consider having like permanent installations beyond this period?
So when we looked, when we did our benchmark, most of the light and art festivals do not last more than 2 weeks.
Okay.
It's a 17-day, actually, not 14 days. It's a 17-day festival that is accompanied by a 3-month long world-class exhibition.
Okay.
That allows for the public a longer time to visit and see the striking works while attending the public programs and the activities and the educational workshops, etc. Why did we have the accompanying exhibition?
Okay.
For the extra 3 months to last as well, and for people to enjoy, but already people knows about the festival. So now with the 4th year or the 5th year or the 6th year, they would understand when to go and how to
manage their time.
Manage their time on
around Noor Riyadh.
Around Noor Riyadh, and to how to move from a location to other locations, especially that we minimized the locations into hubs. And it will be like from 3 to 5 hubs max. Yes.
How would you describe the art scene in Saudi Arabia in general?
The potential exceeds the other scenes. What I'm seeing is huge.
It's rapid. It's fast.
Exactly, and fast, and it's diverse. Mashallah, the events that are happening from Misk to the Benali, also MOC, they're doing spectacular work with their commissions. And I don't want to see it's a competition. No, it's we are one family and we are supporting each other, with especially that we are all partnering with each other.
True. So you guys do partner with other governmental entities.
Absolutely. We partner with MOC, we partner with MISC, we partner also with the local galleries. We partner with Athar, with Art Jameel, with Haf. That's why I'm saying that it's becoming not only a light and art festival, it's becoming emotional. It's a family. We are just one big happy family in Jack's district. So
are there any... the question I wanted to ask earlier, I just remembered, is it every year at the same time?
Yes, we aim end of November. And why is that? So
the weather is amazing. That's one.
Yes, that's one. That's true. Also, most of the cultural events happens during
Yeah.
end of November, beginning of December.
Yeah.
And we want all visitors to visit all kind of events that are happening. والليل طويل.
Yeah.
And it's
True.
it's
You
a
want to
night, it's
enjoy.
a night festival.
Yeah.
It's a light night festival. So we
Yeah.
want people to enjoy the night and the lights and the artworks.
That's amazing. Are there any major learnings or changes since the launch? Yeah, have you experienced anything since now you said you're in the third one. I don't know if there's a fourth one, but are there major changes that you were like, we learned from our mistakes from the first one, second one, no? I mean, I feel like the first one, I wouldn't say because you said it was during COVID. So I think the learnings or the teachings from that would be different to the second edition and the third edition.
A lot of lessons learned, especially like the size of it.
Yeah.
Managing the whole locations, also for people to enjoy the festival. We wanted people to know more about the other locations.
Yeah.
And they didn't. For example, the second edition, I know for a fact it was amazing and it was very successful, but I know for a fact a lot of people didn't manage to visit the other locations.
Okay.
So they went to the hubs, they didn't find time to go to the other locations. There are a lot of lessons learned, but good lessons. So
Okay.
we always نستفيد من
You can improve them for the next edition. Yeah.
Absolutely.
Okay, so what advice would you give a young creative in Saudi? I know that you're an architect, correct?
Yeah, I'm an interior architect.
You're an interior architect. So, and now you're working with art. I feel like this all falls under the realm of creative industries, but what would you give, what advice would you give a young creative in Saudi?
Wow, I have a book of advices, but most importantly is taking the baby steps and just understand what's in the market and understand how they want to position themselves in the future.
Yeah.
And just be patient. Just be patient.
Patience is key. True.
And it will come to you, especially that the government, alhamdulillah, they are supporting like no other.
Left, right, and center.
Yes, yeah. They are supporting in a lot of ways.
True.
With a lot of different projects.
Absolutely.
And everything. So, yeah.
I agree. So, are there any new exciting projects that are coming up that you can share with us? I know it's a governmental entity and you can't disclose of a lot of information, but is there something that you can share?
Yeah, as I mentioned, the 10 programs of Riyadh Art, we're going to see them maybe this year and the upcoming years. So when it launched, it was a 5-year program.
Okay.
But because of COVID, so let's leave 2 years out. So a lot of delays happened. But inshallah, very soon, a lot of programs that are coming on our way. For example, we have Jewels of Riyadh, which is artworks from masters of contemporary artists distributed in plazas in Riyadh City. We have Art in the Move, which is art pieces on the intersections and the roundabouts of Riyadh City.
Okay. I thought that was Art in Transit. The other one was Art in Transit.
Art in Transit is public art in the metro stations and the bus stations. Welcoming gateways, joyous gardens.
Oh, nice.
We have a lot of programs that we are working on it. Almost done with it, and we're going to be launching very, very soon, inshallah.
Inshallah, hopefully. Allah yaqawwikum. Nof, thank you so much for coming.
Thank you for having us.
Thank you for your insights, and thank you. Bye-bye. She's the senior advisor at Dir'iyya Bin Ali Foundation, also the founder of Creative Pathways boutique advisory firm for creative tourism industries. Joining us today is Arwa Ali. Arwa, that's a mouthful. And no wonder you don't answer your phone.
I haven't heard it like that.
Thank you for joining us today.
Thank you so much for having me, Sabah.
First of all, congratulations on the second edition of the Bin Ali. Huge success, mashallah. And thank you for the invite.
Thank you. Thank you so much. I hope you enjoyed it.
Very much. Can you, first of all, tell us, how do you pronounce Bin Ali correctly without butchering it?
So Biennale comes from, actually, it is biennial in English.
Okay.
But it comes from the Italian word biennale.
Okay.
And you don't have to do it with such Italian fervor.
All right.
But the reason it's called Biennale is because it's named after the Venice Biennale, which was the first and probably most prominent biennial in the world. So it's the Diriyah Biennale Foundation is one foundation with two biennales.
Okay, so you're giving us a 101 of Binali right now.
Basically, jumping in. So
let's
from the
have
pronunciation, I'll give you context of the foundation itself. So the Diriyah Biennale Foundation is one foundation that has two biennales.
Okay.
One is the Diriyah Contemporary Art Biennale here in Riyadh. Mm-hmm. And in alternating years, there's the Islamic Arts Biennale in Jeddah.
Okay.
So this year is our second edition of the Diriyah Contemporary Art Biennale.
So it's every 2 years?
Every 2 years.
This is what it means, right?
Biennale basically means every other year.
Every other year. There you go. Okay. I know that you've been developing strategies and building institutions for 20 plus years. So why Binali? Why this foundation?
It's a good question, actually. I'd say 3.5 years ago, I was called by our amazing CEO, Aya Al-Bakri, and she called me. She said, we're building this foundation, and I want you to come and help develop the strategy for it. And like you said, I've been working, with different governments across the world, working on policy and strategy. And this Biennale, not only did it have incredible people, amazing young energy, but it was literally Vision 2030 in action.
Wow.
So it was seeing all the transformation and what we wanted to do and what we were doing, and having worked on a lot of the strategies for the cultural sector for Vision 2030, I was seeing it actually happening on the ground. So I would say that it was actually seeing the vision happening, in life, on the streets.
Wow, okay. So Vision 2030, you mentioned, and the Binali felt like it was the essence of what it stands for.
Yeah.
And
I thought it was the Vision 2030 in action. You're seeing it. It's not where Saudi is being transformed.
Yeah.
It's the Biennale is accelerating that transformation by really offering the opportunity to Saudi and international artists to work together and exchange ideas.
Okay.
An example of that is Ahmed Mater and Armin Linki. Ahmed, one of our renowned artists in Saudi, and Armin, a renowned artist globally.
Yeah.
The Biennale allowed them to come together,
There you go.
to work together, and that's kind of collaboration to put forward an artwork that everyone should come and see. That's incredible. That's really documenting and capturing infrastructures of change in Saudi.
Okay.
And most importantly, I think it's also that it brings educational programs to audiences of all ages that are designed to really inspire that creativity.
Yeah.
And giving access to the arts in ways that wasn't necessarily possible before.
Yeah.
So it's that acceleration and the opportunity that's and living form of the vision.
Yeah, very exciting, Saraha. And I can see the passion in your eyes now that you're talking about it. Must be an honor working there. You said that there are 2 Binalis under the foundation. So the Diriyah Contemporary Art Binali, and then we have the Islamic Arts Binali. What differs them from each other?
I know, it's a very good question. So first of all, they differ, one in geography, and 2 in purpose.
Okay.
One is to showcase and put forward to the world a contemporary art biennale. There are over 200 of them across the world. And over the last 2 years, the contemporary art biennale has really made it on the circuit of all leading art goers as a biennale to watch out for.
Okay.
And the Islamic Arts Biennale is the first of its kind in the world.
Beautiful.
And it's important for many reasons. One, it is the first, and it's a biennale covering Islamic arts in the Old Hajj Terminal, which is the gateway in the city that is the gateway to the 2 holy mosques. And it's covering a subject in such close proximity to the place of origin. And not just putting forward Islamic art from institutions from all over the world, also putting forward contemporary art that expresses, it's a biennale that showcases not just ancient artworks and ancient objects, but also contemporary art. So it's a mix of that too that allows you to look to the future and
but also reflect on the
reflect
past.
and
Yeah.
explore the past. So
Yeah.
you're not just going to the British Museum to see Islamic art. You're coming to Jeddah in the old Hajj terminal
Yeah.
in a period of 4 months
Yeah.
to experience Islamic art.
Beautiful, beautiful. So the contemporary art biennale, which is the Dir'iyya one, is now in its second edition. So what were the lessons learned from the first edition, or the Islamic biennale even, and how has the public responded to the biennale in general?
So I think by far the biggest lesson we learned and we were astounded by was the reaction of the public.
Okay.
In the first Biennale and the Diraya Contemporary Biennale of 2021 and 2020, it was curated by Philip Tenari. We had over 100,000 visitors during a COVID year, which is
Wow.
incredible. But
That's
it
a
was
lot.
the interest and engagement. Our programs saw over 10,000 visitors, our public programs. We had over 150 schools visit, one of those being one of the most conservative schools historically in the country. We saw the public curious and interested. We saw people not just come for the programs and the exhibition, but people hanging out in the Biennale.
Wow. That's nice.
Jack's becoming, ignited as a place of creativity
Yeah.
and collaboration. The Islamic was just something that took us all by surprise. And we had over 600,000 visitors there. Open from 11 to 11 every day, completely packed. Visitors in all of the exhibition halls, reading, engaging in conversation. Not just visitors from Saudi, although the majority of them were, but curators, gallerists,
Yeah.
collectors, traveling. So the reaction of the public, the reaction of the curators and art dealers and collectors internationally was, that's what we hoped for.
Yeah.
We wanted the public, but we didn't know that, especially in the contemporary, it would translate that well.
Yeah.
So what surprised us the most and the lessons we learned is we are really developing all of this for our public.
Oh.
We are developing this. We're learning from it. So we're listening as we go. And that's the biggest lesson of how engaged and interested our public is in contemporary and
Amazing.
Islamic art.
You just mentioned a lot of curators and collectors coming to the Biennales, both of them. So the Biennale has worked with multiple international and local artists. So one of them is Philip Tenari, as you mentioned. This year is
Ute Metabawa.
Uta Meta Bauer.
Yeah.
I didn't want to butcher her name.
No.
And there are
But
also...
you can say Biennale now.
There you go. There you go. What is the criteria for selecting curators?
No, it's a very good question. One, we do have selection committee, but the criteria is these curators have obviously global experience.
Yeah.
They have worked with artists across a geographic span. They understand the nuances of emerging markets. Ute, for example, is a curator. She's a German curator, has lived in Singapore, works in the National University of Singapore, and has curated the Istanbul Biennale, Documenta. When she was selected as a curator, she spent 2 years visiting and traveling to more places in Saudi than I've been to.
Wow.
She even visited my home, which was amazing.
Really?
And seeing, and it's not just her, this Biennale is a global one. So it's also her working with Wijdan, who worked in the first Biennale as an assistant curator, now as a co-curator. So that continuity is created in the foundation.
What efforts does the Biennale make to introduce foreign curators and artists to the kingdom?
It is why the Biennale exists. All of these artworks, what's interesting about the themes that are introduced is that these curatorial themes become very quickly part of this transformative and transformational narrative of Saudiya.
Yeah.
So this conversation is in the context of the world. It's not in isolation of
Yeah,
it.
yeah.
Feeling the Stones, our first theme. After Rain, the theme of this contemporary Biennale.
Yeah.
Awal Beit, the first house of our Islamic arts Biennale.
Yeah.
These are all critical themes that pay tribute to also what we're going through. This conversation happens with, this year alone, we have up to 100 artists from over 64 countries in the world.
Wow.
I mean, it's not a question of, what efforts we make. It is the reason we're there is for that kind of collaboration. It's also important to know that, the Biennale is not just somewhere that, it's not just an exhibition or a foundation or a learning platform. It's not just an event. It's more than that, but it's also a destination.
Yeah.
So a lot of people visiting the country come to Biennale.
Check it out. Yeah.
When I actually visit, the time that I love to visit Venice is during a Biennale because it's when the city is activated.
Yeah. Yeah.
It's when everything is happening around.
I know
It's
that Lyon has a Biennale right now.
Yeah. So the Lyon Biennale is actually very interesting that you mention it.
Yeah.
Because, and this is also answers your question about how the international collaboration happens. Because of our first edition, Feeling the Stones, 6 of our Biennale Saudi artists were chosen by the Lyon Biennale curators to participate in Lyon Biennale last year.
Wow.
So 6 Saudi artists were chosen on a major international Biennale
Amazing.
platform.
That's
So their
amazing.
artworks were, and we were very proud as the Biennale Foundation to also help support them get there.
There you go. So you just mentioned themes. How is each theme established? Do you guys have an idea that you would give the curator and then they would go from there, or is it purely theirs?
That's a very important question. And in the Biennale Foundation, one of the most important elements of it is its curatorial excellence and the independence of its curatorial choice.
Yeah.
So the curator does select the theme.
Okay.
And of course, I mean, this is not a theme selected out of nowhere.
Yeah,
They're not parachuted in, asked to throw in a proposal.
Yeah.
Again, like I said, Ute spent 2 years visiting and exploring and traveling around Saudi, visiting artists, visiting studios, visiting. After Rain is about the environment. It's because of that experience that she came up with that. And it is working with people at the foundation and all of our collaborators. We collaborate with universities, with organizations.
It's relevant to the place.
It's relevant to right now the country, but it's relevant. It could be relevant to a time. It could be relevant to a period. So, for example, Feeling the Stones was as relevant to the geography that Philip Tenari had visited, but it was even more relevant to the time in which Saudiya was going through. Which was to him a parallel to what China had gone through at one point. So its biennales usually cover issues of here and now, and yes. Clearly in Saudiya, it's so interesting and novel that it covers also issues of place.
Amazing. So how diverse is your pool of artists in terms of local and international artists? And this question, we haven't discussed this, but I'm adding this right now. Do the curators themselves have a roster of artists that they can pick from? Or local artists, I mean, that they can pick from? You mentioned that Uta has met with a lot of people. She's been here. She spent time in Saudi. So is it because of that? Or do you guys provide a list of people and be these are the people we think?
I mean, look, the beauty is it's collaborative effort. That some of these curators come in already understanding who's on the ground, who some of the leading artists that they might want to engage with, but it's in response to a theme. It's in a conversation.
Okay.
It's in research. It's in collaboration and conversations with a lot of the artists. The diversity of the artists is vast. And there is no set quota. There is, 1 year we could have more commissioned works and by artists, so new works that are created by artists in Saudiya and abroad to answer to the theme. And 1 year we could have more loaned works that artists loan to us that respond to the theme. So it all depends. Another interesting point is, just the diversity of the teams that are involved. Since you brought that up, if you kind of draw back the curtain of walk into the office of the Daria Biennale Foundation, you'll find that it's majority women in leadership positions.
Yeah.
And people from also over 60, 70 countries working on the ground, in the offices, including the artists. And it's just not the artists there. It's the production people. It's the people that are installing, that are handling.
Yeah.
It is the people that are managing the programs. And just to another point, it goes beyond the artworks. It goes beyond the artists. It goes beyond the people that are working on the exhibitions.
Yeah.
It's even in the themes of the artworks themselves. If you drive into Jax, turn left into the Diraya Biennale, one of the incredible artworks standing in that Diraya roundabout.
Yeah. Rashid Shashai?
No, that was the first year was
okay.
Rashid Shashi.
Yeah.
Now it's an artist, Tanya. And in collaboration actually with Diraya, we got to reinvigorate that roundabout with a new artist that has an artwork welcoming everyone to Jax in 3 different languages: Arabic, English, and Urdu.
I've seen
because
that.
It's a representation of the communities.
Now that you've mentioned it, I remember.
So you were part of in our first edition. You were working in Diraya.
I was working in Diraya at the time, and we worked on the public program that was part of the Biennale.
That was incredible.
It was so much fun to work with something.
And remember that. Remember the questions that we asked of what do we want to do with the public? What could spark that kind of interest? And what did you guys do at the time? Remind me.
We did workshops on mud building.
Yeah.
We did fashion and cultural heritage workshop for writers. So it was a lot of fun, honestly. Especially the one that's nearest to my heart is the mud building, because Dir'iyah is a city that was made out of mud. And just to know how it was made is just amazing. And you can have your own mud brick and you can take it back home with you.
Look how many artworks and Mzahra Al-Ghamdi, artwork in the first year covered that topic. Several of the artworks this year.
Yeah.
Even in Founding Day, we had one of the kids' workshop on mudwork.
Yeah.
But that kind of collaboration with Dir'iyah, for example, Dir'iyah Gay Authority, with MISC, with ITHRA. The first year we had their art prize. With Red Sea, NEOM. NEOM gave access to Armin and Ahmed for us to, go and explore.
Yeah.
The Biennale Foundation and the Contemporary Biennale and the Islamic Biennale is a platform for all of the efforts that are happening with everyone to kind of collaborate. And Jack's Noor Riyadh exhibition is there in such proximity that, and it's not just these institutions, by the way. What's amazing and where your podcast is so relevant is it's the people behind these institutions that matter too. We're meeting each other. And so the speed in which things are happening is so fast that it allows us to quickly collaborate and take really bold action at times. So
truly.
So thank you also for this platform.
Thank you for your time, Saraha. Is the Biennale focused on creating a lasting legacy? We talked about this. Especially, you said
actually
about the Islamic.
I love this
Biennale.
question, and I want to get to the Islamic because it's so important.
Yeah.
But maybe if I can also just refer to this edition of After Rain for this themes Biennale. Another interesting point that I didn't cover is Ute, as she was traveling through, realized also that we really shed light on the importance of the artists that came before this whole transformational movement. Nabil Al-Bassam, Safiya bin Zagar, artists above the age of 80 that paved the way. I mean, I remember as a kid visiting in the Eastern Province, visiting Nabil Al-Bassam's gallery and seeing her artwork and living with it. And now to see it on a global stage in a Biennale. Ute has dedicated an entire room in this exhibition to these legacy artists. So just talking about legacy, one, paying homage and honoring the legacy artists. We have Abdurrahman Suleiman, who I'm obsessed with, who we helped, Wajdan Rida and Ute and our curatorial team went with him to his studio and unearthed drawings that he drew in the 90s.
That must have been exciting.
You have to see it. It is incredible. to that point also, I mean, we have the first ever Islamic Arts Biennale in the world.
Yeah.
Do you know how
Huge.
how meaningful that is?
Yeah. That's
what
massive,
kind of
صراحة.
legacy
Yeah.
that leaves? What kind of conversations we can help facilitate? So those conversations, when we had a symposium in the Islamic Arts Biennale, academicians that came to that symposium said they will change the way they teach Islamic art because of this. You're talking about, we have an Al Madar gallery, which is a platform for international Islamic art institutions to show their exhibitions, show their kind of road to show their treasures of Islamic art. And some of these artworks have been seen in 4 months more in the Islamic Biennale than they have been seen in a year or 2 years' time in their own institutions. So it's so important bringing these institutions together to collaborate and to shed light on the importance of Islamic art, what it was and what it continues to be. It sheds light on the legacy also, but it also allows for the continuity.
Yes.
So that's critical in understanding the legacy of it is, yes, we're creating legacy because finally we have a cultural sector. So there was all of these things before, but there's a sector now that allows this legacy to be created.
With strong foundations now. Or stronger foundations.
I mean, it's happening.
Yeah,
right.
Absolutely.
I remember Mohammed Hafiz from Asr Gallery. Used to say "Al haraka baraka."
Yeah,
like we're in movement now. There's not.
We're like on to the next one.
Exactly.
On to the next one. So funny that you've mentioned this. How would you describe the art scene in Saudi Arabia? Is it economically sustainable?
I mean, we're sitting here, just to give context.
Yeah.
We're sitting here in Mirwas Studios, where you are doing a podcast covering culture and change and, feeding the studio, collaborating, visiting a Biennale, seeing an artist from Biennale be selected into international art fair, a gallery being selected into an art fair. Your podcast will likely go into
fingers crossed
into future kind of forms of iterations. Yes, I mean the quick answer is there has to be sustainability. Again, not to keep going back, but just to give an example, when a Biennale is happening, it's an exhibition, and massive public programs. There are studios that have to be set up locally to develop framing, woodworks, metalworks for some of these commissions. There are sound studios that have to be available because we have sonic artists. There are restaurants that have to be brought in because a Biennale is a hangout place. It's open from 11 to 11 on the weekends. There's my plug-in. And on the weekends, it's open even later. So people are hanging out in restaurants all day. So it's feeding a very
good for the economy.
It's feeding, and then people are doing their own things. I mean, during a Biennale seasons, several on Jax have opened up their studios. That's what's sustainable. These platforms are so well supported. They're so well backed. So we know we're backed by a government. Alhamdulillah, we know we're backed by the public. We know we're backed by the people. But these things will live on, beyond that. There's an interest and there's a hunger in the public. So this, of course, it's sustainable. It's not the fact that we're backed by government that's keeping this going. It's that the public's engaged. They're the ones coming and asking for more. They're the ones that are visiting the art. Ultimately, there's going to be a collector's base. Ultimately, it's when there's art out in a Biennale that we either commission or loan, these things are going, either they'll travel like in the Lyon Biennale, they'll travel somewhere else in the world, or they'll be collected by someone in Saudi or across the world, or they'll be collected by a museum, or they'll just be visited. and enjoyed.
So, what is the balance between commissioned works and existing pieces?
Yeah, it depends. So there's in a biennale, be it the Diraya Contemporary Biennale or the Islamic
Yeah.
Arts Biennale, some works exist out there either by institutions or artists that respond to the theme. And some works,
And this is where you guys come in and be like,
and the curator will reach out to those artists and select them. Still, it's a complete honor to be selected, your artwork to be selected in a biennale.
Absolutely.
Whether it's created as a new commission or whether it's
an existing
chosen
piece.
as an existing piece. And that's, in our first biennale, we had many commissions. And in our second biennale, we have such a mix of commissioned loan works. In our Islamic Arts Biennale, we had institutional loaned works. And in the contemporary section, we had a lot of commissions as well. So there is no set number.
And I remember you mentioned when we were conversating before about how this is an opportunity for artists for their work to like skyrocket and be like,
so and it's not just in the valuation sense. So it's important to know that a biennale is not a commercial endeavor.
Okay, this
was completely non-commercial. So even the other day we had visitors coming in that are here with the fight boxers.
Okay.
So they're here. The fighters came in that are visiting Saudia. They came into our biennale and they asked, "Can we buy artworks?"
And you were
and
like,
I said, "No, the
sorry.
biennales are completely non-commercial." But the difference is when a biennale artist, when an artist makes it on a biennale stage, likelihood is that the value of their artwork goes up. When it's a credible, reputable biennale, which alhamdulillah, our biennales have made it on an incredible global stage, that the provenance is there and eyes are on them. Their exposure is up. And we're not just saying that, 100,000 people in our first biennale or 600,000 people in our Islamic Arts Biennale visited, but it's also who visited. It's leading curators from across the world, leading collectors, leading institutions. So it's who's noticing these artists. And like I said, 6 artists were chosen for Lyon. A commission that was done with Marwa Mogheth from our first biennale was recreated in Sharjah.
It's
with
amazing.
a performance dance was recreated. Commissions are critical because they create uniqueness and novelty, but they're not the only things that matter.
So what does success look like for the Biennale?
I mean, most definitely, again, it's not about the numbers, but it's the engagement with the public.
The impact it leaves.
It's the impact it leaves. It's how many people come again. How many people are talking about it to someone else. It's the people that come to Saudia that are inspired to come back because maybe they saw something or had an incredible conversation in the alleyways of a biennale. It's the programs that inspired kids to continue art. And it's also the shifting mindsets. I mean, one of the things that, is not necessarily success of the biennale, but it's a success of the entire cultural vision is mindset has changed. So, where parents may have encouraged art as a hobby, now are encouraging art as a career because they see that opportunity just as much as the creatives are seeing it.
Amazing.
That's where Biennale also is important. It's inviting families and kids and students and creatives and collectors, and so it's the entire spectrum, and that's where the real change happens.
Amazing. What has surprised you the most during your time at the Biennale?
It's been
surreal, exciting.
No, and I take pause at this question because at one point nothing can surprise me because everything has been so surprising in the last 3 years. I'm amazed and surprised at the talent that has come out when we hold these when we either support artists internationally in major exhibitions, because that's one of the goals of the Biennale also. It's not just to have these exhibitions, but it's to support our Saudi artists that are participating in major exhibitions across the world. it's the quality and the talent. It's not because there's an agenda behind it, but it's the actual talent that's coming out of here. I mean, this is a place where our ability to intake and our proficiency in digital culture and intake culture has been so proficient. And now our ability to create and to convene, to facilitate that interesting discussion. So we're not just in the world saying there are Saudi creators, but we're now telling the world, come create
here
and
in
have that
Saudi.
conversation
Yeah.
here.
Yeah.
So it's definitely the public. Again, I said that 1,000 times.
Yeah.
But what surprised me the most is that creation and convention over and over again. And it's us taking advantage of it and using it. And it's for our public here just as much as it is putting ourselves on the map over there.
Wow. Beautiful. So this kind of concludes all of our questions about the Binali, but what advice would you give a young creative in the kingdom right now?
So I think one of the incredible things about being a creative now, and I would tell anyone aspiring to be that now is the time, is that we have access to all of the other creatives. And whenever we see someone that's doing really well, I think we assume that they know exactly and they knew exactly how to do it. And they know what they're doing and they have it all figured out. And oftentimes they'll come to me and say, how do I develop this? Or, we don't all have it figured out, but we're not all asking each other how to do it. And that's the advantage that we haven't completely maximized. And instead of only seeking advice from the outside or seeing how the rest of the world is doing it, we really have to realize that there's only the creatives in this. It has never happened like it's happened here.
That is
this
so
is
true.
so unique.
This is so on point.
It's so unique and it's so incredible, and it's something so worth documenting because the baseline is here. So it's asking each other. It's these informal WhatsApp groups. It's these informal conversations. It's how do you write a proposal? How do you price this? It's how do you who do you have to work with? And I think one of the things that's challenging in our society is asking for that help, because we are afraid to fail in public, and that's the thing that's going to make the difference. Is it's okay to find that footing to fail. And when our policies and our platforms allow us to try and sometimes fail, then we know that we're really advancing. Because that's really what creates that community. And that's what, if I would tell any aspiring creative, what they should do is they should do it now. It is the time. It is the place. And if they're not so afraid to fail, they'll do really well. So for you, for example, this invitation has been incredible. The conversation.
I'm making hearts with my hands.
Yeah, so am I. I'm making big hearts. The conversation preceding this podcast was probably more interesting to me than the podcast itself. And I wish, in a way, we had microphones to these conversations. And I think what you're doing is putting a microphone to the conversation with the people that are doing things behind the scenes.
Yes.
And everyone should pay attention.
Yes. Thank you so much, Arwa. Thank you again. And we're out.